Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 133rd episode of the Spiritual Brainstorm. In this episode, I actually do want to, I'll just do a quick follow up of the previous episode. So if you didn't watch the previous episode, I really suggest you do, because otherwise, this is going to come out of nowhere. So just watch the 132nd episode on the origin of life. So the reason why I wanted to do a follow up is because I did a quick meditation yesterday and just had another kind of illumination that makes things a little bit more specific as to the origins of life. So I found the original quote that I was referring to in the Bible. In Genesis, it says, now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And when I said that life emerged, I said it emerged as kind of like a strategy to break out of perfect symmetry. Like for every vibration, you have a vibration of opposite phase, and they cancel each other out, and that brings you back to nothingness or zero, and then you go back to infinity. And you have to break away from that symmetry. And life is just the way to do that. Then I said that the form that life takes is kind of mysterious. And it actually hit me that water is life. But not water as in H2O. Because this is a form. This is already like a structure that you place over water once the universe sort of has explored itself. I'm saying like water without any kind of compound or thing that you can identify. Then come to think of it, if everything is made of vibrations in the universe, everything is just energy, basically, vibrations. If you look at quantum foam, for instance, it is like this vibratory bubbling state, but in a three-dimensional space. So it is vibrations, just in a 3D way. And water, if you really come to think of it, is like vibrations made physical or material. If you look at liquid, the liquid state, it is the state that is closest to being alive in a way. When it's frozen or solid, it is inert information. It's like information that is, inert. Like it doesn't move. It's like crystallized information. So it's more like zero or void, it doesn't go anywhere. And if you look at gas, the gassy state, it is like infinite information. It just bubbles all over the place. And that is more like linked to infinity. It's like chaotic information. And the liquid is really, the liquid state is something really that is like in the perfect mean between gassy and frozen or solid. It's like this golden mean kind of thing. So, water is not a medium for life to develop into. It is life itself, but then it sort of evolves out of that. So let's just say that like the first thing that appears is water, which is just like in a liquid state, which is just a strategy for, vibrations to take material form, and has a property which allows it to escape perfect symmetry in one way or another. And then as the universe evolves with, let's say, these pockets of water interacting with each other, they learn things about themselves, and everything sort of comes into focus. On the infinity side, there are planets that are formed. Oops, planets. And on the void side, there are the concepts of molecules. And then as planets and molecules form, the more all of this is kind of unraveled, and if you watched my previous video, you know that this is basically like, this is like the seed, and it grows roots into the past, which like cements molecules and atoms and all this stuff. And it grows like its leaves and tree basically into the future, which is like planets and solar systems. And everything comes into focus gradually, starting from this liquid or watery state, which is not water. It is just vibrations made physical or made solid. And well, solid, not really solid. Made physical, made material. And just watch water, just interact with water. You have a basin of water and then strike it and you'll see vibrations going all over the place. It is like something that is immaterial, like vibrations, that becomes material. And then basically life emerges once these elements kind of appear and are more or less come into focus. Then life appears as a living cell inside a planet, but that is only after it has undergone plenty of different experiences as something that wasn't a cell or something like that in the beginning, but gradually becomes that out of water. I also read that basically if you look at the chemical structure of the cell and the chemical structure of the planet, they're kind of a mirror of each other, which I find fascinating because obviously it makes total sense, because life on a planet is the planet that is alive. It's just that it manifests as a cell in its own oceans, but it is like once you have life, like there's nothing else than life in the universe, basically. Because if you really follow my reasoning, then without life, the universe would collapse onto itself because of perfect symmetry. And so life breathes life into everything else. So the entire universe is alive. It's just that it's pretending to be alive only as humans, only as cells, because that way it can experience much more aliveness, quote unquote, than via a whole planet being alive. It's just not as interesting, not as complex. Imagine if the entire universe was just blobs of water or liquid or something that was alive interacting with each other. How many experiences, how complex that experience can be. And so life has this tendency of evolution and change. And it's about like making the experience further and further much more complex and rich. And it does that via creating forms such as humans, such as whatever comes after us, and kind of modulating its form for the sake of the experience. So I hope you found this interesting, this kind of new insight into the origins of life, and I really encourage you to watch the previous video because then all of these things kind of make sense. And obviously all of these things come into focus or are given a form via this evolution of life, which kind of, so it's like it's reverse engineers all of the notes, all of the vibrations, all of the information, and gives them a form to create a nice interface to interact with things. So I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, the usual. And you can also drop a comment if you have any questions or whatever. And talk to you in the next video.